the Blight? How will you end it? Is that all? It is surrounded by an ocean of Darkspawn. How will you reach it? If you reach it, how will you slay it? You say you are a Grey Warden. I have heard stories of this order. Great strategists and peerless warriors. That is what we hear of the Wardens. So far, I am not impressed. Evidently not. It remains only to see what you are here for.
What do you need? Ask away. Such as they are. That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Andvelt, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go. I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. Well, it wasn't an easy life, you know. I don't know whether or not you've noticed, but I'm not exactly the Chantry type. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky. I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have. He was a good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Here I am. Oh, I certainly could, but I won't. I swore to the crows that the things they taught me were to remain a secret. And while, yes, they are already angry at me, I'd rather not push things, you see. If you are truly insistent, well, let me think about it. The crows are already angry at me, yes? Who knows? Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Well now, I imagine that's a very fair question. Being an assassin, after all, is a living, at least as far as such things go. I was simply never given the opportunity to choose another way. So, if that choice presents itself, why should I not seize upon it? Now that you mention it, I am not entirely certain. I was but a boy of 7 when I was purchased. For 3 sovereigns, I'm told. Which is a good price, considering I was all ribs and bone and didn't know the pommel of a dagger from the pointy end. The crows buy all their assassins that way. Buy them young, raise them to know nothing else but murder. And if you do poorly in your training, you die. Oh, I don't know about that. The crows who are actually good enough to survive come to enjoy some of the benefits. In Antiva, being a crow gets you respect. It gets you wealth. Gets you women. And men. Or whatever it is you might fancy. But that does not mean doing what is expected of you always. And it means being expendable. It's a cage, if a gilded cage. Pretty, but confining. And become the next mark for some up-and-coming crow? Not likely. The only way to leave is for them to think you're dead. And even then, you'd best be scarce. As for what I'll do in the future, presuming that there is one, I truly can't imagine. It might be interesting to go into business for myself, for a change. Far away from Antiva, of course. For now, naturally, I go where you go. And here I am, happy to be had. Isn't it wonderful how things work out that way? Come now, enough chit-chat. Talking about the crows summons them, you know. Any Antivan fishwife could tell you so. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. Oh, you wish to know about Antiva, do you? The only way to truly appreciate it would be to go there. It is a warm place, not cold and harsh like this Ferelden. In Antiva it rains often, but the flowers are always in bloom, or so the saying goes. It's not really a matter of wanting to go back. I cannot go, at least not yet. I hail from the glorious Antiva city, home to the royal palace. It is a glittering gem amidst the sand, my Antiva city. Do you come from someplace comparable? Ah, yes, of course. The wandering life of the Dalish. That truly is better. I'm jealous. You know what is most odd? We speak of my homeland, and for all its wine and its dark-haired beauties and the lilo flutes of the minstrels, I miss the leather the most. It may as well be. But not this once, no. I mean the smell. For years, I lived in a tiny apartment near Antiva City's leather-making district, in a building where the crows stored their youngest recruits, packed in like crates. I grew accustomed to the stench, even though the humans complained of it constantly. To this day, the smell of fresh leather is what reminds me most of home more than anything else. Oh, not so long, I know. It is my first time away from Antiva, however, and the thought of never returning makes me think of it constantly. Before I left, I was tempted to spend what little coin I possessed on leather boots I spotted in a store window. Finest Antivan leather, perfect craftsmanship. But I was a fool to leave them. I thought, Zevran, you can buy them when you return as a reward for a job well done. More the fool I, no? True, and it's a comforting thought. One simply never knows what is to come next. How could I have suspected I would end up defeated by a handsome Grey Warden? A man who then spares my life? I could not. Quite right you are. I see the Grey Wardens do not recruit fools. Now, if it is all the same to you, I would prefer not to speak more of Antiva. It makes me wistful and hungry for a proper meal. Here I am. Oh, this should be good. Go ahead. And why not? There are many things to enjoy about being a crow in Antiva. You are respected, you are feared, the authorities go out of their way to overlook your trespasses, even the rewards are nothing to turn your nose up at. As for the killing part, well, some people simply need assassinating. Or do you disagree? Now there's an interesting word, innocent. How many men do you know who can claim to be truly innocent? But if you're talking generalities, such as children and relatives and bystanders and such, never on purpose. But it happens. It's unfortunate, but death comes to us all. If not me, then some wasting disease, or a fall down the stairs, or at the hands of a darkspawn. It's all relative in the end. Death happens, as we like to say, and when I get paid for it, death happens more often. As far as enjoying the act of killing itself, why not? There is a certain artistry to the deed, the pleasure of sinking your blade into their flesh and knowing that their life is in your hands. It is not pleasure, per se, nothing sexual. It is more a sense of satisfaction, a feeling of power. Does that make sense? No matter. There are many things I did not enjoy about being a crow, of course. Having no choice, being treated as an expendable commodity, the rules. Oh, so many rules. But simply being an assassin, I like it just fine. I will continue to do it if I can, even if I am not a crow. Honestly, could you picture me doing something else? Whereas I am content merely doing what I happen to be good at. It's a talent that not many come by, honestly. I don't see why I need not pursue it. Of course, all these thoughts are moot. Chances are still good that you and I will perish, eaten by darkspawn or slain by the crows at some point. Very gruesomely, I imagine. But it is pleasant enough to chat about. Come, let's move on while our boots still have some wear in them.
Yes? Well, here I am. Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose. When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools. What can I say to them? What they believe is what the Chantry says, and the Chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Very well.
Oh, it's been a long day. Rest would be welcome. Yes, of course. I am just a little weary. As you may have noticed, I'm no spring chicken. Thank you. You're very kind to say so. But in all honesty, I do not know how many years I have left in me. I have lived for such a long time, but there is always something else to do. And I have to keep going in order to do it. I think I will be glad when I am done. Oh, I don't know. I really don't. Have you encountered many abominations, apart from the ones in the Circle Tower? You are younger than I, and your nerves yet have some steel in them. Did you feel any fear facing the abominations? The first time I saw an abomination, my blood turned to ice. It was months before the nightmares stopped. It was the knowledge that I could easily become one of them that frightened me the most. One slip. All it takes is one slip, and everything you are is simply gone. Replaced by madness. And there is no turning back, or at least that's what they say. Of late, I have begun to wonder if there is any way an abomination can be cured. Or if a mage could be so possessed and still retain their sanity, their humanity. Yes, it is madness and cruelty that define abominations. If those are lacking, if the mage remembers the person they truly are, then they are not an abomination. I never saw that. Thank you for showing me another way of looking at it. Is there something you need? The Circle is in good hands. Irving knows what to do, and he doesn't need me underfoot. For now, I will support those that battle the Darkspawn. I do feel I left things unfinished in Ostagar. There is so much left to do, and I would be part of it. The Grey Wardens, all 2 of you, need all the help you can get. I will see this through to the bitter end, and after that, if I am still left standing, then I will return to the Circle. Perhaps.
The Circle of Magi stands ready to assist, Grey Warden, as do the Templars of the Chantry. The sincerity of your cause has drawn them together under a common banner. It would not have happened otherwise. The Circle of Magi stands ready to assist, Grey Warden, as do the Templars of the Chantry. There are always areas to improve on, Grey Warden. The most useful for my talents are runes.
Yes.
You are wise to invest in the effectiveness of your followers.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. You are welcome to this if you really want it. The dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again. I don't want it, you worthless fur bag. Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
Your dog is filthy. I can smell him 50 yards off. That may be so, but all the same, I would like your permission to bathe him. No, that's not what magic is used for. Just make him sleep over on the other side of the camp, with Alistair. With any luck, that will keep all the stench confined to one small area.
Different? Different than what? Different than a statue? Different than a log? Should I talk in a monotone? Yes, master, I exist to serve the master. I shall kill for the master and only for the master. Perhaps it expected me to have a booming voice. Recite limericks. I can recite limericks, if it likes. I have never met another golem. I have no idea what one might be like, or why I wouldn't be like them. Why? Has it met other golems? Did they not sound as I do? I don't know what other golems might be like, but I am already superior by virtue of my free will. This is a good thing. I do. Now stop talking so much. The wagging of its moist little tongue is distracting.
Enchantment? Enchantment!
You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road. The Darkspawn have attacked Lothering. I don't think everyone even had fled by the time they came, either. Word has it they swarmed the entire area, making off with prisoners and burning down the buildings, and then they were gone. Just as quick. I wonder if there's anyone left. I heard some chanters were going to head down south, maybe to try to find some survivors. I'm not holding out hope myself. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. It seems that some of the bands just won't accept Tyrn Logain's orders. There's too much talk still of King Caelin's death and questions about what happened. You'd think with the Darkspawn knocking on our doorstep, people would be more likely to stand together, wouldn't you? That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. There's another royal army already gathering in the east, but from what I hear, when it marches, it'll be headed west, not south towards the Darkspawn. Can you imagine? If the Benorn stand up against Logain, we won't need the Darkspawn to destroy us. We'll do their work for them. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. More Grey Wardens were supposed to come here from Orlais, but I hear they got turned back. Considering all the questions surrounding what happened at Ostagar, it's just as well. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. Nobody seems to know where Arl Eamon is in all this business. If he were here, he could put a stop to all this talk of civil war for sure. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. It's said that the city of Highever is full of troops sent by Tyrn Logain. There's been rumors of a revolt, maybe even one that killed the Kuzlan family. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. With a defeat at Ostagar, it'll be inevitable that the Darkspawn hordes start moving north soon. They have no one standing in their way, do they? That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. Tyrn Logain had one of the Benorn arrested for speaking out against him. Arrested! Can you imagine such a thing? It seems the band were talking treason about how Logain needed to be forcibly removed from the throne. But arrested? How can you arrest one of the Benorn? That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. Have you heard? Logain has named Arlrenden Howe as the new Tyrn of Denerim, with the Arling going to Howe's eldest son. Yorian died at Ostagar and his son died in some elven revolt in the city. It's tragic news. I wonder what got Arl Howe such a promotion. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. There's news out of the Mage Tower that the Circle of Magi had a close call. Demons got out, but the mages were able to overcome them. Though, not without a lot of damage. I know mages bring such terror upon themselves, but I have to admit I'm glad we'll still have magic to wield against the Darkspawn. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is. It's not just Darkspawn in the Horde, you know that? There are people with them. Folks who are sick with the Blight, and their minds are all twisted and mad. I heard tell of a man meeting his own brother on the field, yet when he called out to him, his brother didn't even recognize him and just attacked. That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
Alessa Isolde, the young Orlesian woman that married Arl Eamon, I hear tell she tried to poison her husband so she could marry his brother, Bantegan. Maker's honest truth.
That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
Habron, daughter of the Arl of Southreach, has spent an exorbitant amount of her father's coin buying puppies. No one knows what happens to the puppies, and she buys a new one every week.
That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
Arl Yorian wasn't truly killed at Ostagar. His son, Lord Von, hired Antivan crows to kill his father before he ever reached the battlefield, only to first be killed by a mob of elves himself.
That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
I heard a strange rumor the other day. King Caelin was not really Merric's son, you see. Merric's real son is hidden in the bowels of Denerim's palace and has been since he was born. I suppose they feed him cakes all day to keep him content. Maybe he's simple. Or a mage. Merric's real son, a mage. Can you imagine?
That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
I'm hearing many tales of corpses clawing out of their graves, all over. Not just people either, animals too. Just yesterday, a farmer told me about the kitten his daughter had buried behind his barn. Little thing came back to life and crawled up, mewling as loud as you please. His daughter was delighted, at least until it just about chewed her finger off. Strange days, I tell you.
That's what I've heard on the road, anyhow. Take it for what it is.
I don't know what to tell you. Nothing I can think of at the moment.
That's a wonderful thought. I don't know what to say. Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much.
A generous gift. Thank you ever so much. A generous gift. Thank you ever so much. Oh, marvelous. A generous gift. Thank you ever so much. Oh, marvelous.
I could get used to this, you know. I could get used to this, you know.
I am impressed. My thanks. I am impressed. My thanks.
I shall treasure it. Thank you.
Ooh, shiny. Ooh, shiny.
As you say.
Even the Templars will be impressed by the powers you will command. Even the Templars will be impressed by the powers you will command. Such a force has not been seen since the collapse of the Tevinter Imperium.